You've probably been told many times to never give up, but what if that's exactly what's been holding you back? The idea for this video came from when I was recently looking at my bookshelf, and I noticed that of the past few books that I've picked up and started to read through, I never actually finished several of them. And it got me thinking, have I been unproductive lately? The only answer that I could come up with as I reflected on that was no, not at all. In fact, I've been very productive. Many of the growth channels on YouTube or self help books that are on the market will always talk about a very common narrative about never giving up or how to reignite passion that was once there but is now gone. But what if that isn't the best course of action for you? At what point does that advice become detrimental to your overall success? I do agree with a lot of these books and channels when they talk about how consistency is pretty much the main determinant of a person's success. But I feel like sometimes there comes a point when something that was once productive instead begins to lead into stagnation. If you're experiencing burnout or you have become discouraged lately, I would offer a message that may be a little bit contrary to what other sources would tell you, and that is to take a break, stop the activity completely, and maybe just reevaluate what it is that you want from life and what your goals are. Have you changed since you first started this task? Is it not giving you what you envisioned it would when you started it? Are you just going through the motions? Are you doing what you're doing just simply out of inertia? Sometimes it can be difficult to say, especially since those everyday things that we do become a part of our personality. They become a part of our identity. They become what we're known for. But if your identity isn't bringing you happiness and the things that you're doing aren't leading to fulfillment, then why would you continue to do them? Because the reality is that things change. You change. And if that book that you're reading or that language that you're learning isn't bringing you some sense of fulfillment, then my honest recommendation would be to just drop it. Just because something has become part of our identity does not mean that we need to continue to do it just out of habit. In the same vein, a related issue could be that you've already invested so much time into this project or endeavor that to switch now would be to admit or acknowledge that you've wasted so much of that time. But I think that idea should be reframed. It isn't a waste of time to find out what is a waste of time. You now know what not to do and what will not bring you fulfillment, which is important in itself. It's better to stop now than continue forward and waste even more time. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of willpower to deny yourself that oh so special hit of dopamine that comes from finishing something. To not be able to tell people, oh yeah, I finished that book, or yeah, I know how to do that. But that closure, that small dopamine hit is not a good enough reason to keep going. If you know that the final 100 pages of a book is not going to bring you closer to your goal or give you a sense of fulfillment or help you grow, then in my opinion, it's best to just put it down. And the same could be said about bigger tasks, which might be even more difficult to move on from. Now again, follow through is important, but only after you've identified what it is that you know you need to be happy or to become that best version of yourself. But the opposite advice is just as important. Knowing when to quit or when to not follow through with something is an incredibly difficult but game-changing skill to have. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that it is one of the most fundamental things that separates a successful person from an unsuccessful person. This concept is not entirely original, and it's actually been talked about before, like in Seth Godin's very popular book, The Dip, all the way back in 2007, where he argues that successful people are actually faster to quit something if it is not working out for them, and they instead take a different approach until they find something that actually works. There is data to back this up, like in the 2003 paper by Roche and colleagues, which concludes that people who are able to let go of goals that no longer serve them actually provably live happier and healthier lives on the whole, which undoubtedly would lead to one becoming more successful. There is always an opportunity cost to everything that you do, regardless of whether it's something that's productive or things that are unproductive, like taking naps or watching Netflix or playing multiplayer video games that are designed to get you addicted to keep playing them. And sometimes what was once counted for us as productive becomes unproductive, and it takes a lot of deep self-reflection to identify this. The grim reality is that we have a finite amount of time and it passes very quickly. We have to seize every second of every moment that we can if we are going to become the best version of ourselves that we envision. I would encourage you to meditate upon what it is that you want from life. If that's pleasure, then do what's pleasurable. If that is to change the world, then do what will lead to changing the world as you want to change it. And if anything that you're doing currently does not contribute to that, then don't be afraid to move on from it. Not finishing stuff doesn't make you unproductive, and it doesn't make you a quitter. And in fact, in a lot of instances, it makes you smart. And I think there needs to be a much more common narrative of that. Don't view it as quitting. View it as pivoting yourself towards a different goal that will contribute to your future more than whatever it is that you're currently doing. You don't need to feel guilty. You don't owe your past self anything. You only owe your future self. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd click the like button. It'll really help me out in these beginning stages. I'll also be covering a variety of topics in the future, so if you liked what I had to say in this video, maybe consider sticking around and subscribing. I do read the comments, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say below, so maybe we could have a discussion.